Native American, the Aboriginal people. And so, it's maybe appropriate with Thanksgiving a couple days, or what most people call Thanksgiving. We call it, a lot of Native Americans call it Indian Mourning Day. Because, it's not, we always have reason to give thanks, but not giving thanks because of what the Pilgrims brought with them. Not giving thanks because of how they were allowed, they lived, they survived that first winter because of the Native people. So that's what Thanksgiving was all about, how they survived. It wasn't them bringing their ways here that helped the Native people. No, their ways and their diseases killed the Native people. But Thanksgiving is because of how they came to survive that first winter, and the times when they came from Europe. But for the sake of how we view it, or what a lot of us call it, it's Indian Mourning Day. It's not. We'll always have, every day you're alive, you have reason to give thanks. Every day you're alive and you can see your loved ones, or break bread with someone, or have a job you can go to, different things, and COVID is having a big say on how people and what they have in life. But every day you should give thanks. Every day I say my prayers to the Creator. Every day, because you don't know what may happen. But the true meaning of that day on Thursday, it's Indian Mourning Day to a lot of Native Americans.
Yeah, Indian Mourning Day, that sums it up right there. I do believe giving thanks, for what we have, and always giving thanks, because there are those that have not.
Absolutely.
A lot of times in the holiday season, a lot of people going without. They don't have the means to, afford all these, lavish dinners, or some people, it's hard to even get a turkey, there's a lot of good people that's doing turkey drives and giving out turkeys and passing out food, and there's a lot of people that are trying to help. So there were travesties that went on back then. There was a lot of killing, there was a lot of, slavery going on, there was just a lot of people taking advantage of people that were helping them. But as we've seen now with a lot of the movements that we've had, and we've seen a lot of rallies and protests where we see a lot of white people helping. There have been people that know that it hasn't always been a pleasant history as far as United States and white America. And some people do genuinely feel partly responsible to help make things right. What do you say to those people that do notice the things that have gone terribly wrong? What do you say to the people that do want to help? How are ways that they can help support making things right again? How can they help do that?
And that's such a big point. I appreciate you bringing that up. It's these rallies and protests and all that I speak of, that I've gone to, and glad I was able to. Yes, people of all persuasions were part of those. People of all persuasions speaking, and exposing the wrongs, and standing there in support of trying to bring about right, trying to expose those that did wrong, hold those accountable that did wrong. The cops that murdered, for those that the injustices, that has to be recognized and certainly appreciated. It's not like it's all people of color or minority persuasions that are part of these rallies.
Yeah,
right?
so we've seen that it goes. It's kind of like that. It's a double standard where they'll say, "Well, that's a Black Lives Matter rally, but why is there so many white people there?" So I feel like people only expect that since it's a Black Lives Matter rally that there can only be black people, or there should be mostly black people that are supporting it, when in fact there's a lot of people that aren't black that are supporting these movements as well. So how can, besides going to the rallies, and we know people are being very vocal in this, constantly be vocal about speaking out on the injustices and calling people out, call the racism out, call the people out that are, you know, like the John DePetros of the world that are putting this garbage on and really taking it to a level where it can incite violence. What do you say to the people that are trying to help? How can they help? How can they help more? Because I'm always the type where I try to find solutions. I try to find solutions to the problem. I might not even be able to get there, but I'm always trying to work towards how can we fix things. So what would you say to people, like how can people, what kind of things can people do so there's progress that can help make things right? What are some of those ways?
And you've already indicated some of them, you know, go to, it doesn't have to be a rally or a protest or whatever it's called or coined. And, you know, opening your eyes and your minds and your hearts, you know, as much as there might be, this is what came to mind when you're saying, as much as there are people of all persuasions and ethnicities at those rallies and protests, and again, whatever they're called, there's just as many that aren't there and are practicing that they, forgive me putting it this, they came out of the closet, you know, they brought their hatred, it's just as evident and just as much practice on their part as it is those that are recognizing the injustice and want to stand there and support and want to do the right thing and expose wrong. There's just as many on the other side. You know, that Charlottesville, when the person was killed, it was just as many as Trump said there's good on both sides. No, there wasn't good on both sides. But the white supremacists on one side and the KKK and the others fighting those mindsets and that prejudice. And so that's the sad part.
Turning an eye on violence is also violence. Turning a blind eye on violence, not speaking on violence.
Silence is complicity. Complicity, yeah. What's that word?
Complacency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Silence is complacency.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and that's part of it. And it's, you know, you can't just turn a blind eye to it. You can't just go home and watch TV and say, oh, it's not bothering me, or it's not bothering, because maybe it will be your kids or your grandkids or whatever. You know, there's, again, this country, as good as it is, it has a lot that it can do.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, part of it, the school books, the curriculums in school, you know, what's being taught, you know, for the sake of the Native American again, real quick, and Narragansett, there's nothing in the school books. When I went to school, you know, a number of years ago, put it that way, there was nothing being taught. A paragraph in the history books about, you know, how this country came to be, and you know, the history of what became of the Native American. You know, it's almost a forgotten